Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. That promo code again, WARCHANT15, gets you a 15% discount on DeLuna Coffee. Go to DeLunaCoffee.com. I had the Beach and Blend this weekend, Corey. Tasted good. It was robust. Made me feel good, but not too good. I don't deserve to feel like $1 million. Felt like $750,000. You know.
Does it pop those eyes open?
No. It's a light roast, I think. So it's not as caffeinated.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But you swear by it now is what I hear.
Yeah, I got that. I got Palafox Place. So I'll probably get to Palafox Place, I'm guessing probably 2 weeks' time when I go through the Beach and
All
Blend.
right.
So, man, just changing my life, upgrading everything, man. Coffee, standing up all the time, waking up a little bit earlier, reading before I go to bed. I'm trying to buy a house. If people out there that help out with that sort of stuff, not realtors, I got that. Not people that lend money, I got that. But if you do the other stuff, let me know. That'd be kind of cool. But Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Busy weekend. Brady had a bunch of sports that he played this weekend. And then keeping track of all these Florida State sports.
Woo. Brady get some dubs? Get some hardware?
Well, they played in the basketball playoffs. They played the number one seed who has the player that we'll all be talking about in about 10 years, I think. And they beat them. They were the 4 seed. They knocked off the 1 in the semifinals. Great win. And then they came back on Sunday and laid a bit of a dud in the championship game and lost. But hey, they were in the championship game. That's all that's not really all that matters. It's not maybe the lesson I'm trying to teach. But still, he played hard. I was going to say he played well. I'm not sure that was the case, but he didn't play terrible. He played pretty well. And, and then he also had 2 baseball games, and they lost them both.
Are you as hard?
He pulled a Dion kind of because
Go on.
They had a baseball tournament, and then he played the first game of the baseball tournament, then sat around for a couple hours, played the second game, and then we had to pull him in the middle of the game so he could get over to the gym to play in the championship basketball game.
Let's go!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time stuff. Had the helicopter all gassed up. Got him there with time to spare.
Oh, man, you see what happened to our guy? He got robbed. He won his opener, and Jackson State thanks him by robbing him again.
No, that's not true. They came out and said that they did find all his items. They were just misplaced. And it was
Come
a
on,
miscommunication.
Dion, stop giving Jackson, Mississippi a bad name, accusing my people of being thieves.
Really,
Come
right?
on, man. Jacktown, they're trying to get themselves better. They don't have a great reputation in Jackson. They're trying to get a little bit better.
I mean, that's not a great look, man. Like his immediate thought is, I'm going to go to the post-game presser and be all and say you're pissed because you got robbed. I mean, come on, man. Even if that did happen, I don't know if that's something you want to, get out there. You know what I mean?
Imagine you were taking over for Willie, beats Georgia Tech week 1, comes in there. I'm pissed. Somebody stole my wallet and my phone.
Somebody broke into my office at Moore and took my flat screen. Like, I
They
don't know if that's...
They took his boombox. They took his boombox last year.
That's just maybe not the right time. Plus, it makes it even worse when apparently it's not true.
Right.
Either way.
Thanks for
Dion,
debunking that. Good job, Corey, by the way.
You got it. But it's like, Dion, come on now. It's. I know a lot of things are about Dion, but maybe this is more about the game, and you don't be happy that the kids won the game amidst everything they've had to go through. You're playing in the spring, and maybe not in the press conference anyway, bring up how upset you are that you were robbed, especially when you aren't actually robbed.
Yeah, Edward Waters not on the same level as Notre Dame. Have a feeling, though, if somebody were to steal Mike Norvell's Land Rover. If they beat Notre Dame, they'll be pissed in the postgame. I don't. The insurance will cover that. Let's beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Rocket to the moon.
What can you do though, man? It's good times. It's good times. And hey, congrats to Dion for getting that first coaching dub. That's a big deal.
53-0 over Edward Waters, which I think is in Jacksonville, Florida. I think it's a Division II school. I never heard of it until I was actually in Jackson, Mississippi. They're an HBCU, so a lot of teams in Mississippi bring them in, give them a payday, kind of rough them up, spar with them a little bit. So, but yeah, man, a win's a win. That's good. 53-0, I think. So we have something to look forward to on the weekends, even though it's not football season, because it's kind of football season. So are you coaching Brady as hard as you think Meat coaches Tyler Martin?
Probably harder. I don't get the impression that Meat when Tyler was 12, I don't know how much time Meat got to spend with him. You know what I mean? Like, Tyler played baseball, but Meat was coaching other kids, so he didn't really get a lot of time to like work with him, I wouldn't think. But Tyler would come out. That is a cool story, honestly. I know you weren't
awesome.
You weren't bringing a Brady Clark. You weren't comparing it to Brady and Corey Clark, but what Tyler Martin has become, or apparently is really neat. And he was a kid, like, since I've been covering Florida State, him and his brother have been out there at baseball practice, taking shagging fly balls, fielding ground balls, like forever, for 10 years. And then now he's like batting leadoff and apparently really good.
Yeah, I think he only had 2 outs in the 3 games they played this weekend. They did win the series. They lost the opener Saturday, but they bounced back really strong Sunday, won both games over UNF, so they're 2-1 on the season. Hypothetical question, Corey. It's Omaha, Nebraska. It's College World Series. It's Game 3 of the championship series. Florida State is up 6-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Do you have them bring 11 into the dugout?
Oh, no. Number one, I don't think he would do it. I don't think he would let them do that. I would imagine he's as superstitious as everybody else. It would not. If he's been watching the game from behind the dugout, and then in the last inning, he's like, no, yeah, sure, I'll go into the dugout. What's the worst that could happen? I think that's just, you're basically flicking off the baseball gods.
Okay.
And if we've learned anything about the baseball gods when it comes to Florida State baseball, don't anger them. So I wouldn't give the baseball gods any reason to spit in your face. So no, I wouldn't do that, but I also don't think he would do that. I'm also not sure if that's it's only one series, right? I wasn't overly impressed with what we saw from the baseball team this weekend, but you know what? They won. They won the series, 2-1. Just keep doing that for the rest of the year, and you'll get to Omaha.
Yeah. Pitching, I don't think, lived nearly up to the expectations that everybody had set, Meat and the players. Offensively, though, they looked really good on Sunday. They did not look good Saturday. He was very upset after the game Saturday. Basically sounded like he wanted to fire guys. It was awesome. I really like Meat a lot. I think he's always on, man. He's going to be who he is. He believes in his approach. I think he realized that he can't try to be something he's not, and he's very unapologetic about it. And I asked him after the game Sunday, I'm just like, did you know your team is like mentally tough enough to already be kind of yelled at this early in the season? And he just basically was like, hey man, like they got to know, they got to figure it out. The young guys that we're not gonna shy away from things. We're gonna coach them hard, and this we're gonna expect the best out of them. So I do like how he's so unapologetic about everything. But yeah, man, offensively they look real good. Tyler's fantastic. Nander at the bottom of the lineup, I think batting 8th. He had a really good weekend at the plate. This Vince Smith kid that plays third base got robbed on Saturday, I think, on opening day of a home run, but then comes back Sunday and knocks one off the scoreboard. Reese Albert had a jack. Matt Nelson had 2 jacks. It's going to be a good lineup. And if that pitching does come around and lives up to the expectations they set for themselves in the preseason, or at least the way they talked themselves up, yeah, man, the 40-win thing, going to the regional, all that stuff does seem, on the table and a reasonable expectation, which is crazy. Just, again, 40 years of it, Corey. You got to keep it going, though, if you're me.
Well,
no
it's
pressure.
hard to – the regionals, I don't know that you can get to the 40-win plateau again because you're losing 6 games. They're only playing 50.
Oh, right.
The rest of the country's playing 56, and he ain't happy about that. But, and also with the pitching, look, it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't dominant by any means. I think the biggest disappointment by far was Messick. But, first opening day, first time he's started a game in college, We know the talent's there. He'll get a couple more starts for sure to determine if he's going to be the Friday night guy or if he's going to be, if maybe, because he was clean the first 2 innings, and then it got rocky with him on the 3rd inning. So, it's way too early, small sample size, to say that that's a bad move, that he needs to go back to the pen. He'll get a few more starts for sure, but you know what he is. He's good. And then some other guys, you just had one kid that pitched 1 inning and walked 5 or 4, something like that. You had a couple kids that blew up, did not pitch well. But and it seemed like everybody gave up a run. But Chase Haney had a nice game on Sunday. I think he pitched on Saturday too. So I think he's a guy that they depend on. And then look, when you have that many arms, it is it's a tryout essentially. Mm-hmm. They've all tried out for the last month, but then you also have to try out in the games. That's when it matters. And Meat wants to see what you do when people are actually watching and the games count and the scoreboard's working. So I don't think it's. I'm not worried. It's way too early to be worried. I mean, look at Florida. I know Florida wasn't playing North Florida; they were playing Miami. But Florida has on paper, an incredible pitching staff too. And I think they gave up 18, 20 runs to Miami this weekend. Lovely. So, that's going to happen. Especially when you're trying different guys out and young guys out. So, it'll be a work in progress for the first probably 2 months until he figures out exactly who he can depend on. When you got that many arms, it's hard to do.
This was at the bottom of the mailbag on Friday that I was not able to get to. It comes from our friend in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Gator Kirk. Which team has a better season overall, do you think? Ham's Hoopsters or Meat's Moneyballers? So let's pivot, I guess, to basketball. This is not a complaint. I love what the basketball team is, who Leonard is, these players. It's just so crazy, and you tweeted it out. And this I guess this obviously kind of illustrates just how talented and how dangerous this team is. I don't know. What did Scotty Barnes did not play all that well. I don't think he shot all that well from the floor. I think maybe 30% from the floor. MJ Walker doesn't score at all. Yet they go on the road and they win quite comfortably. I mean, the game wasn't really in jeopardy there the last 10 minutes of the game. What is this team? Is there anything like this? At some point in the next 4 or 5 days, Raekwon Gray's going to have a bad game, and it probably won't matter. Raekwon Evans is probably going to have a great game here in the next 2-3 weeks. Scotty Barnes is probably going to have a crazy game here in the next 2-3 weeks, but they might have another dud. And that ain't even really what did Saturday was a dud. I don't want to say how does this team lose, because so many crazy things can happen in a tournament. This team is so difficult to is that accurate to say they're difficult to get a read on just because they are so deep and it's like this revolving cast? But it's nothing new, but it's just crazy to see it sustain itself.
It's I think the way to phrase it is, and I'm not poking fun at you, this team is difficult to beat because, again, before the season, if you'd have told me Florida State on the road, and I know they're not true road games, but that they would go up to Pitt and then MJ Walker wouldn't score at all, would play a lot of minutes and not score, and Scotty Barnes would go 4 of 13. And they would lead the whole second half and win. Like you said, comfortably might be a little strong, but they never trailed in the second half against an okay team, not a great team, but an okay team. I think that's a great sign, man.
Well, you're getting everybody's best shot, man. I don't want to say you're Duke, but
look,
you're
the next step. Yeah, the next step is that's 2 road games in a row now where they haven't shot well from the floor from 3. You need to fix that, but. Unlike the Georgia Tech game where they didn't shoot well from 3, they didn't shoot well really, period, and it seemed to affect them on the defensive end. This time it did not. They played well defensively. They made it really hard for Pitt, and they just, again, man, they have so many ways to beat you. Polite and Walker hit 1-3 combined between them. They're 2 of the best shooters in the conference. They hit 1-3 between them, and you still win by 7. There were games this year where Florida State won where Malik Osborne had a point. And then in this game, he and Raekwon combined for 28 and 19. 28 and 19. Barnes has 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists. Wilkes hits a couple threes. Calhoun has a couple big plays. Balsa had some nice moments before he got in foul trouble. They just, again, it's what we know, but they have so many ways to beat you. They don't just depend on 3-point shooting. And I think, as I wrote on warchant.com, that you all find people can read, that's what I think. It was almost more encouraging the win on Saturday than the win on Monday. We know when they shoot like they did against Virginia, they are going to beat almost everyone in the country.
Yeah.
Badly, probably, right? We get that.
Yeah.
But they aren't going to shoot like that every game. And so far this season, when they hadn't shot well from three, especially on the road, they had really struggled. Well, this time they didn't shoot well from three at all. They missed their first 5. They were only 4 of 14 overall. They missed a ton of layups, and Raekwon missed a dunk. And Gome had a wide open dunk. He basically threw out of bounds. And they still won the game. They still found a way because they attacked the glass. They got a bunch of offensive rebounds when it mattered, and they got stops when it mattered. And they made it hard on Pitt. And they made their free throws. That's a recipe, man. Because in the tournament, in the ACC or otherwise, in March, there will come a game, probably a couple if they play long enough, where they're not hitting from three. And instead of panicking and being, it's just not our night, they went and found a way to win anyway. Against a team that was playing hard and hungry, and they were desperate. So, yeah, man, I just think, and you mentioned it, though, I don't know what Raekwon Gray is doing. Like, this is nuts. It's nuts. It's incredible. Well, it was a funny moment, too, in the postgame. I asked him about Raekwon Evans, because Raekwon came in at the end of the game and made a bunch of free throws. He attacked the basket, got fouled, made some free throws.
I'm like, we're asking a question about Raekwon Evans? He loved it, though. Good job, Corey.
Well, no, but the problem was he thought I asked about Raekwon Gray.
Oh.
So I said, what's it like to have somebody like Raekwon Evans? I think I said Evans. I might have said Gray, but I think I said Evans. I meant to say.
You did. I think.
They can be a stabilizing force. And they can be a guy that comes in off the bench and attacks and makes free throws and makes plays when it matters. And then Leonard complimented me. He's like, that's a really great observation you made there. Raekwon Gray has been very good for us.
Oh, he did say that? See, I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah, so he was talking about Gray.
Right.
I felt really good for half a second. Like, Leonard's like, yeah, that's right, Leonard. I did make it. I do watch these games. I appreciate it. It was a great observation. But he thought I was talking about the other Raekwon. And we're the only media members in the country that I think that have the problem of having to specify which Raekwon we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
But man, Raekwon Gray is. I mean, it's incredible what he's doing. It's expected now. Like, you're not surprised. He had 16 and 8, and and handled the ball late, and we're not surprised at all. You don't even bring it up. You don't even really mention it because it's just what Raekwon Gray does.
And we're talking to him after all these. And we're talking to him after all these games, and he's confident too, man. It's not cocky. This isn't catching him by surprise. Like, he's put in the work, and he's getting to live out, the goals that he's kind of set for himself. That's the crazy thing to me. Is like he's not acting like he's surprised by it. Leonard's not acting like he's surprised by it, and he's confident, man. And it's hard to battle a guy that's got that kind of confidence, those kind of tools, his size, and just his touch. What a weapon, man. What a weapon. I mean, right now, like if the I don't know, he's the guy they do the player focus on right now. If it's Jim Nance and Clark Kellogg on the first round matchup with them, right?
Yeah, and how they say it at the cool thing about Florida State is, and this is something they've always talked about, the coaches, is like, who's at the top of the scouting report. And Stan Jones has always talked about, as a freshman, if you have a big game, all of a sudden, MJ had a big game, I think, against Virginia Tech as a freshman. And then the next game, I think he scored 2 points. He had like 25 against Virginia Tech and then 2 the next week, something like that. And Stan was talking about there's an adjustment when your name slowly starts creeping to the top of that scouting report. Like, it's the first name people talk about when they break down the team and they have them in the film room. Well, I mean, I guess Raekwon's the first guy. Yeah. But is it MJ? He's the leading scorer. Is it Scotty? Because he's the draft pick. He's going to be the lottery pick. That's what's cool about Florida State. Like, when you turn on the Pitt film, you're like, all right, Champagny, that's the guy.
Right.
Or Champagny, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. That's the guy at the top of the scouting report. I think if I'm coaching against Florida State, it's probably Barnes that's at the top of the scouting report, but Raekwon Gray is right there. He hasn't once he started doing this for himself, where he scored, like, I think he scored in double figures in 6 or 7 straight games. It's not like the defense, they're slowing him down. He just finds a way to make plays. He's not selfish. It's not like he's shooting bad shots. He'll shoot 9 shots a game and score 16 or 17 points at the top of the scouting report. But again, that's what makes Florida State hard to defend. Like, where's Anthony Polite on the scouting report? Where's Balsa? 6th? Where's Calhoun? 8th? And then those guys come in and make game-changing plays. That's why this can be such a difficult team to beat.
I do wonder about the 3-point shooting. I think that's if you're trying to be nitpicky or overly critical. That's one thing I still think you have some sort of trepidation about. Just because the tournament gets crazy, another team goes hot from 3. What happens if you can't match it? But you would hope that this team can just guard better than most other teams do. But I mean, I guess we're hoping Anthony Polite kind of maybe rounds into shape here. He missed so much time, and I'm sure he's probably got some sort of lingering injury from whatever he did miss. But you feel like if he gets on track, that probably shores up that quote-unquote weakness.
Yeah, no, look, it's not a weakness. They're the best shooting team in the ACC percentage-wise. But that's why I thought it was so encouraging what they did on Saturday when they did not shoot well, because that is a big part of their offense, and they only hit 4 threes. They were outscored from 3, and they're usually not. And they still found a way to win. Well, how did they do that? They attacked the basket and got to the free throw line, which they're also a good free throw shooting team. That's not what they did against Georgia Tech. So that's a good point. You remember the Vermont game from 2 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Where, number one, it was played, it played like 9 minutes from Vermont's campus.
Played Hartford,
13 seed. Vermont was crazy from 3. I think they were 15 of 31. They just made a ridiculous amount of threes. That's what they did to stay in the game and take the lead. They outscored Florida State probably by 30 points from the 3-point line, or 27, something like that. Florida State still found a way to win because they dominated the interior. This team, now we're talking about a Sweet 16 game. You're probably not talking about Vermont. You're going to need to knock down some threes. But if you're looking for the way to avoid the upset, because to me that's what you worry about the most in the tournament. Just win the first game. I know that's not how championship people feel. People that have won more things than I have probably are thinking about all 6. But just win the first game. Avoid the upset. Give yourself a chance to get to that second weekend. And the way you avoid the upset is what Florida State showed on Saturday. Pitt hits them. Now, Pitt didn't shoot well from 3 either, but Pitt has a great player who played great. And you're going to run into that in the tournament, even against these smaller schools. If Florida State's, say, a 4, they're playing a champion from like the MAC or somebody. They're going to have a great player. He might catch fire. They might hit 12 threes. Florida State can still beat you because they have so many different guys and so many different ways to beat you. Defense, rebounding, getting to the line. Yeah, I think to win it all, they will have to have 2 or 3 games where they go crazy from 3. Like to beat Gonzaga, I love you, Leonard. I love you, Florida State. You can't beat Gonzaga going 4 or 14 from 3. Ain't happening. But we've seen enough from this Florida State team to know they can have a game where they go 14 of 27 from 3. Yeah. They just got 7 or 8 guys that can really shoot it. So, a good win. A good win. It might seem kind of ho-hum, but no road wins in the ACC are ever ho-hum, especially in that place that you had lost, I think, 3 games in a row up there. And especially when you don't shoot well and you still find a way to win. And your leading scorer doesn't score a single point, and you still find a way to win. But back to Raekwon Gray real quick, and then we'll move on to football and other stuff.
Wait on Vermont real quick. I just, for some reason, I feel like all I remember is them blowing out John Morant, so I felt like they blew out Vermont as well. Vermont was 16 of 32 from behind the arc. That's 50%. Florida State was 3 of 12.
How about that? They got outscored by 39 points from 3-point range. And still won. And
let's go.
That's quick, right? That's really quick. My son, not so much. I asked
Will
him.
Hunting over here.
Yeah, Brady is not. Brady's like the Ben Affleck character in that movie. Smart kid, by the way. Brady's got they tell us he's got a high IQ. Yeah. But when I asked him what his batting average would be if he had 4 hits and 5 at bats, and I asked him this last night, he couldn't tell me. 720? I'm like, Brady, what? 4 out of 5. What's 4 out of 5? So that wasn't fun. That wasn't a fun 4 minutes to explain that. I start to question what's going on at his school.
What is 4/5? I don't know. 67%? I don't know. I really don't. I'm terrible with fractions.
80%.
Okay. How do you figure that out so quickly? You just memorized it?
Or you just times it. Whatever you have to times it by, multiply it by to get to 10. That's an easy way to break down a percentage is just multiply them. So if you have 5, you multiply that to 10.
Oh, the denominator.
Yeah, you multiply the denominator. So what is that? 2. So then you multiply 4 by 2, and that's 8 out of 10.
Oh, my, you just changed my life.
There it is, Aslan. We did it, buddy. You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to ask you this. Let's see if you can break it down here now. You ready?
Oh, gosh.
2/5. What are you batting?
40%.
Yeah, so you're batting 400. Yeah, there you go.
Yes!
All right.
Dude,
okay,
I'm
man.
ready.
See, Things are happening. Apparently, they don't teach that at Brady's school because he wanted to get his calculator out on his iPhone.
Corey, I'm serious, man. I went to really good public. I think my elementary school was not as strong as where I learned like my multiplication tables and all that stuff. But we weren't doing fractions. I've never heard of that before. I mean, I know like the whole.
I'm sure there's a way to do it.
20% on a bill. You double the first number of the blah blah blah. But man, that changes things.
I'm sure there's a way I'm sure that's not the right way to do it. That's just how my brain works, and that's always how I've been able to do it. Like I can do 16 out of 25. If you get 16 hits and 25 at bats, what are you batting? Well, it's very easy. You just times the denominator 25, you get to 100.
4. Yeah.
So that's 4, and then you times 16 by 4. So you're batting 640. And that's how. And so I'm trying to explain this all to Brady, and I'm starting to lose my mind because.
What about all the other numbers though, like 3/7?
Well, that's hard. You got to guesstimate there.
Okay.
You got to guestimate there. Basically, you go 7 into 30, and whatever that is, like I don't know what that would be. 420, 420 something. Yeah, you can't get exact. There's no exact sciences there, but 4/5 is pretty exact.
Okay, I got you. All right, back
but
to
anyway,
Raekwon
speaking
Gray.
of 4/5, that's about what Florida State shot from the free throw line on Saturday. That's another way to win games. Shoot well from the free throw line, and they've shown a knack for doing that as well. But yeah, man, I think Raekwon Gray, he's not going to win Conference Player of the Year. But I think you could legitimately argue, number one, that he should be first team All ACC, MJ perhaps too, but that he might be the team MVP. And keep in mind, they have a lottery pick on their team who's good. And I just think Raekwon Gray has turned into a incredible college basketball player. It's remarkable, and he's good on defense. He's one of their key defensive guys too. It's just a testament to that program that a guy that people were like, including me 3 years ago, was like, is this guy ever going to make a dent? People got excited because he'd scored 2 points. Is now become one of the better. I mean, I think you could argue one of the better front court players in America. Just does everything. Does a little bit of everything.
Stat stuffer, right? That's what Leonard was saying. He's kind of been there.
Yeah, that was a great quote by Leonard. Yeah, he said he's become our Terrence Mann. He's a stat stuffer, and that's what Terrence would do. He'd have 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. And Raekwon's doing that, but it seems like he's even putting up better numbers than Terrence did. But yeah, man, it's just it's going to be really. He might be playing himself into. Does he come back next year? I think he's an NBA player. I do. He does so much. I think he's an NBA player. I don't know if it's an NBA player next year or a year after that. He's got to prove he can shoot a little better from 3 and still get in even better shape. But, man, he is. I would be not surprised at all if Raekwon Gray was in the NBA one day.
Wow. Crazy. Amazing, man. It's great. Next game is Wednesday, 8:30. Ooh, that's a late one. Coral Gables, Miami. So that'll be fun.
What is it, 8:30?
Yeah.
Miami just lost. Who knows with Miami because I don't think the Likes kid has played in 3 months. I don't know if he's going to play, but they just got bulldozed at home by Georgia Tech. They lost by like 30. So either they've completely given up on the season, which is a possibility, or they're going to come out playing as hard as they played all year. But honestly, it shouldn't matter if Florida State plays well. This
Conference, what's going to happen? I mean, Roy ain't young. Kay is 70-something. He's in his late 70s, right? Larinaga no spring chicken. I think Leonard isn't out of it, but Leonard's thriving. It's crazy to kind of see that, right?
It is crazy. It's and also Florida State, we should mention it. It's a goofy year. We talked about this last week, but because Duke beat Virginia in the final minute, Florida State now is in first place in the ACC.
That's right.
By percentage points. They have 2 losses. Virginia has 3 now. And Florida State's got 4 games left for now. They got at Miami. I think they got BC at home.
North Carolina after Miami. Saturday they'll be at the Dean Dome.
Okay.
Following Wednesday, home versus BC, and then they'll close out Saturday, March 6th at Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I feel like if they win 3 of those 4 games, which certainly isn't asking a lot if they play well, I think that would give them the number 1 seed, and you could claim another regular season championship because that would give them 3 losses. Virginia would have 3 losses, but they'd have the tiebreaker over Virginia. But Virginia's played 4 more games. I don't know how any of that works. I would think Florida State could claim it if they win 3 games.
That BC game's 9 p.m.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Dude, the Saturday this weekend, Pitt comes to town for baseball. The game Saturday was supposed to be 2 p.m. For some reason, they put it to 8 p.m. now. It's going to be midnight madness at the Hauser.
For baseball?
Baseball.
Oh, well, that's weird. All right. Hey, also, before we move on, not that I'm running the show. This is your show. But I have to give a shout-out. People care about this stuff, Aslan,
Women's basketball, please, right?
Yep. Morgan Jones with 26 points against the number 3 team in the country. And Louisville was just 21 of 60 and 3 of 20 from 3. Louisville was number 3 in the country, and Florida State beat them by 9, I think, right? Or 7? 60, 9. 68-59, but Morgan Jones had 26 and 10 and drew 11 fouls, which is crazy. And then Courtney Weber had 14, and it wasn't fluky. Again, that wasn't fluky. And for the people that don't know, I know we don't talk a ton about women's basketball on this show, but Sue Seminoles hasn't been coaching the team all year. Brooke Wyckoff, former player, longtime assistant coach, has been the interim coach. And what a great moment for her. They did not play well the other night in a bad loss to Georgia Tech. Not bad because they lost to Georgia Tech. It was an ugly game.
14-point loss, yeah.
Yeah, and they went like 2 quarters and scored 12 points. So for them to come back after that and beat the number 3 team in the country says a lot about that staff and says a lot about that team. That's a really good team. It's a much-needed win. They're still very much in the thick of the NCAA tournament. That's a win against the number 3 team in the country. I don't know if they were on the wrong side of the bubble, but if they were, you would think that'd put them on the right side for now. So congrats to them, and congrats to the FSU golf team.
Did they win the Seminole Invitational?
Seminole Invitational. They're number 7 in the country. The 2 other best teams there were number 12 Oklahoma State, home to Ricky Fowler, and number 1 Oklahoma.
Oh.
And Florida State beat Oklahoma by like 6 strokes.
Suck it, Cameron.
Who? Why
Jeff
did you say
Cameron.
Cam?
Jeff Cameron.
Because he's an Oklahoma fan. Okay, all right. Sorry. So yeah, man. And John. And by the way, so the next big thing in Florida State golf, if people care, you got Berger, you have Koepka, you've had other guys come and go, Jack McGuire, Seifert. There's some guys that are still trying to get on the tour and become names on the tour. But I think John Pack is the next guy, the next Florida State guy that has a real shot of being on the PGA Tour and making some money and donating back to the program.
There we go. Women's basketball, by the way, now 3-1 since Ira Schofel had his one-on-one sit-down with Brooke Wyckoff. Ira also pointed out in our group text message. So this Seminole Invitational, which is like the crowning tournament that this program hosts, is not at the Jack Nicklaus designed course on the south side of town, but rather Golden Eagle? That's interesting. Somebody let me know why that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I should look it up and find it out, but I don't want
You could look that up, and you should. Yeah, but either way, no matter where they played, they could have played at Heileman. It's a big dub for the Noles. Yeah. Big dub for the Noles.
I have a feeling if I Google why does FSU not play at Nicklaus Golf Course, I feel like that's not going to provide any answers. So
probably not. I don't think there's a lot of people chatting about that on the net.
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to talk about football. We gotta meet the quota though. Social media's got some videos. I guess we can maybe talk about that for a quick second. But the wide receiver preview. By the way, I can't believe you have that much content to talk about going into spring football about one single position. I really like the way you broke everything down. Like the competition is going to be, and then you filled it in and put the depth chart. I mentioned in the video that we did, but that's a few days old, so this is a little fresher. You've probably done a little bit more research now. Ira was one of the first guys I think that kind of brought up at least, hey man, we're all sitting here picking out apart why this team is 3-6 or why they're 2 and whatever they were at the point, whatever the heck. And he was talking about the wide receivers, and to me, I don't know, just there were so many things that were going wrong with that team. Wide receiver to me was like one of the. I'm like, I'm not worrying about that. Like, all right, I'll give you some credit that it's obviously not ideal with Terry being gone, but there's so many other more pressing things. I mean, the more you dug into things, did we not talk about the sort of, is it underperforming or is it just maybe they don't have the caliber of receivers that we're used to around here? I mean, you joked about Chris Winkie back in 2000. And I know we're far from there, so it's probably not a fair barometer, but good grief. Like, it just Florida State was never in a – Florida State always had NFL guys to throw the ball to, it seems like. And they don't currently.
It would not seem, at least nobody that we know of yet. That doesn't mean the young guys won't be. But, yeah, man, there's – they have I think 30, what are they, 34, like 55 catches returning, 4 touchdowns. Jordan Young has done basically nothing since he got here. Pokey's probably had the best career, but Pokey hasn't had a great career. And Keyshawn, we still don't quite have a grasp of what he is. And then none of the young guys we know anything about. None. How could you? So again, I do think though, when we talk about throwing bodies at a problem, well, like we've talked about, they are going to have 7, depending on what they do with Wren, depending on what they do with Ja'Kai Douglas. They're both listed as running backs on Seminoles.com roster. Wren, I think, is listed as running back / athlete. Ja'Kai is just listed as a running back. But you could certainly imagine them getting some looks in the slot. But depending on what they do with them, you're talking legitimately about, like I've said, 8 freshmen. You have 8 freshman wideouts. If they don't count, you still have 6. But if you count them, you have 8 freshman wideouts. So this is the core moving forward. And you've got different kinds of dude. You've got the Blazers like Destin Hill. You've got the big bodies. Williamson and Portier are big bodies. You've got obviously Corey Wren is a different level of speed, but we have no idea what he is. So you feel like there's some stuff there to mold. It's not like they got a bunch of 5'2", 40 guys running around that are, 5'9", 190. I mean, they got guys that you think can make plays, and they've shown a propensity, this coaching staff in the past, of finding guys that are good and getting them the ball a lot. Right now, you just don't know who that is. You just don't. Yet you have no idea who's going to, like, my guess would be that Pokey would lead this team in receiving next year if you put a gun to my head. But, man, I'm not confident on that at all. Like, I legitimately think there's probably 4, 5, or 6 guys that could lead this team in receiving yards or receiving touchdowns. Parchment, we have, you figure he's the guy that's actually done something in college much more than any of these other guys. But how's he going to fit in when he actually starts practicing with them? So, yeah, man, don't you think? I think that is the biggest unknown on the Florida State team. And I don't remember ever going into a season where this position was this unknown. Like, you don't have any clue. You have 8 freshmen, and you don't have a clue about what you have with any of them.
And you're going to have to depend on them. It's not like they're going to be able just to kind of slowly come along and work behind some upperclassmen and get their feet wet. Like, they're of that bunch of freshmen, like 2 of those guys have to emerge. Like, literally, yeah. I mean, like, legitimately emerge as, I don't want to say game changer, game breakers, but guys that are going to go out there and be able to give you something special every other game or so. I mean, to your point, man, you can't coach up you can't scheme up every single yard. One of these guys has to use their speed or their ability to make moves in the open field in a phone booth and wiggle themselves open and break some tackles. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see who does emerge from there. I mean, it's all guesswork at this point. I mean, in terms of the freshmen, are there any ones that you feel that you're going to have your eye on at least maybe, or ask some questions on when we finally do get to talk to coach once March 9th rolls around and spring does start?
Probably just the freshmen in general. I don't think I have one in particular. I know that wasn't, you just asked about one in particular. I'm basically saying no.
No, that's fine.
But I think we should point out, for all we know, there might be 2 of these guys might be NFL players. 3. One might be a superstar. We have no idea. There have certainly been lesser ranked players in high school and high school that have turned into huge NFL stars. So these guys have a pretty good track record of identifying talent at that position and getting them the ball. For all we know, 2 of these guys, 4 of these guys might be NFL players. That's it's kind of the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know what Pokey is. I guess by now we know what Jordan Young is. I mean, you can't give up on the kid, but he's been here a while and not much has happened. But Keyshawn, there's still a little bit of question marks because of the injury. But, I think when you look at this, man, it's really intriguing. Like, how good is this? Are these guys? We have no idea. They could be awesome in a couple of years.
I like how...
I'm a glass half full guy, Aslan. You know that.
No, I understand. You look at Antonio Gibson, who's in the NFL now. I think he's 6'2", 225 or so. So he's one of your more larger kind of prototypical wideouts. But Anthony Miller, who went nuts for them back in 2017, I think, Memphis that is, is a guy that walked on, if I'm not mistaken. He was listed at 5'11", 190. And, gosh, I'm trying to find his stats in 17, but I can't find him quickly enough. But he's a guy that he went berserk for them. So it's like, I know we always fall in love with measurables when it comes to wide receivers, maybe more than any other position. But they've found ways. They've developed guys. They've found under-recruited players and been able to make them really highly productive guys in their scheme. Again, I'm stalling here trying to figure it out, man. Pull it up already, Memphis.com. He caught 95 catches in 2016 and then 96 balls in 2017. I mean, he practically went for 3,000 yards his last two seasons. 1434 and 1462, 32 touchdowns in those two seasons. Now, I'm not saying like that could be pokey. That could be pokey. But man, I wonder, it probably makes more sense to think that a freshman might emerge because, to your point, like Jordan Young probably is who he is. We've seen a good bit of pokey. Although Pokey kind of came in as a DB, redshirted, I think bounced back a little bit between DB and wide receiver, maybe 2 years, maybe more than anybody. When we talk about all the changes in coaching and terminology, I know we always talk about quarterbacks. Maybe that's something I'd like to ask maybe Kenny or Mike. How much are wide receivers affected by terminology and routes and concepts that different coaches want to run? But when you look at all these seniors, fifth-year guys, sixth-year guys, maybe a guy like Emmett Rice jumps out. I would like to think if one of those guys can kind of have a come-out-of-nowhere big boom of a season, like I would like for it to be Pokey. And I think him maybe more than anybody would help result in more production, maybe like more wins. I mean, I think if Emmett plays out of his mind, I don't know how much that changes the way the defense is. It's obviously a big help. But like if Pokey goes out and can catch 65 passes for 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns, that's a big boon.
I agree.
Is that like impractical? I mean, again, I'm the guy that's like,
no.
Again,
we'll see what it looks like with Mackenzie Milton. We'll see what it's looked like with this offense humming the way it's supposed to hum. But yeah, I don't think that's impractical at all. To think that whether he or maybe
somebody
Jordan
be a
Young
number
is
one,
awesome.
Right, Corey? Yeah. Somebody be a number one. Somebody emerge.
You think it could be Parchment, but you don't know. I mean, he played at Kansas. No offense to all the Jayhawk listeners out there, but he played at Kansas. But you feel like he could be a number one. But that's the thing. Brian Robinson could be a number one. Destin Hill could be a number one. Malik McClain could be a number one. I'm not talking about this year. I'm just talking about in our lives. They could be awesome football players, and we just don't know yet. But when you have 8 freshmen, I mean, that should make you pretty excited that 1 or 2 or 3 of them could be really good players.
I do think Keyshawn, one more year removed from that injury, will be much more sturdy or confident and trusting of that leg and his health, and will be productive. And I do think, like, you give me Keyshawn, Ja'Kai, and Corey Wren at slot, I think that sort of platoon or whatever you want to call it, like that combination of those guys, I think does give you a nice little sort of wrinkle, and it gives you some explosiveness. Because I do think Keyshawn, while maybe doesn't have like straight line speed, world class like a Corey Wren, he's got the right amount of wiggle. I think he's a guy that he's had good hands, and he's been able to find creases. One more year healthy, obviously will be a big benefit to him. And then I do like Ja'Kai Douglas. I think Ja'Kai Douglas, I'm sure he came here to play running back, but they've got a good sort of situation right now with Jay Sean and Lawrence Toafili and DJ Williams having transferred in. Those 3 guys, I think, give you something at the slot. I like Pokey. Pokey has the potential to maybe have a bit of a last season breakout. Parchment brings you who's a number 1 at Kansas, and you can say whatever you want about the Big 12 offense, but I'm sure whoever lined up opposite of Andrew Parchment probably wasn't as good as Pokey. And hopefully a guy like Cam McDonald kind of factors into things. Yeah. I know that didn't really factor into your story, right? You did receivers. You weren't talking about
right. Yeah, I didn't
clear out that
throat. Yeah, sorry, I got it. I didn't include him. But probably I should have. But he's because he's going to be a pass catcher. Obviously, they're going to throw to him some, and yeah, that's another weapon. It's certainly the body type you want. But yeah, there's a lot of talk for a position, but that's just it. We won't know. I think in the spring, hopefully we'll be able to watch some. Certainly the spring game, we'll be able to see some things, and yeah, we'll see who takes that step, who takes those steps. It would be really hard. I'd be surprised if one of the true freshmen come in and are immediately like a number one guy. But what if, like, again, what if Darian Williamson's just awesome and he struggled getting on the field last year with injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he turns into a terrific football player, and he uses this offseason in the spring practice to become like a bona fide number one guy. There is a chance. There's literally, like, we have our ideas, but there's probably 6 guys that could be the number one receiver on this team that you wouldn't be completely stunned by. Because we don't know enough about any of them. Somebody's got to be it.
Why not
Parchment,
me?
Pokey, Portier. I mean, somebody's got to be it. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be interesting, my man.
By the way, Anthony Miller's in the league. I didn't even realize that. He's been in the league for 3 years. He's on the Bears. And this past season, he caught 49 balls. He caught 52 the year before. He's got 11 touchdowns in the NFL. As a rookie, he had 7 touchdowns.
Oh, so he's a player.
Yeah, look at that.
And he was a walk-on?
Don't quote me on that. I don't
Okay.
know. But he
I'm not
redshirted
quoting
as a freshman.
This is just you and I talking right here. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's just you and I talking.
He didn't play his first 2 seasons. He redshirted in 13 and then did not play in 14. I think he had a medical on that. And then 15, 16, 17, he climbed quite quickly. So
He did.
Also had a pretty good quarterback thrown to him, which, I think
These guys should have a good quarterback thrown to them.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Anything else you want to add, Corey? Everything's good though in your world, right?
Everything's good, yeah. I'm not, yeah. Drink the DeLuna. It's delicious.
Thanks, Tim Linefeld. Checks in the mail. Royalties.
Yeah, that's big time. And also, if you're not a member, if you are a member of Warchant, go read. I meant to talk about this last week, but Ira's story about the walk-ons for the basketball team. Yeah. It's 4. I think there are 4 of them. 4 fifth-year seniors that have been in the program forever, and just it's really unique how the walk-ons are used at Florida State and the way they help coach the team. Is a pretty remarkable thing that they have there, and it's just really interesting. So go read it.
That's right. Use the promo code WARCHANT30.
And if you're not a member of Warchant, go become one.
Yeah, and use the promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days. Live production meeting, 6 o'clock live show Tuesday?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can do that. I can swing that, yeah. 6 o'clock Tuesday.
Okay. I'm going to try to formulate a way that we can close the show a little stronger. Listen to the Rosillo show. And he just talked about when it was him and Cannell, they just could not find a way to close the show. So that's when they came up with life advice. But we're not going to do life advice. Although I kind of want to do life advice. But I'll need to figure out something funny or quirky, close the show out so we don't end it with me being like, hey, are you done?
Dating, you could give dating advice.
Okay. I know you're being funny, but okay.
No, I'm not. That would be. I'm not being funny. I'm not taking. That sounded like a shot. I'm not taking a shot. Actually,
cool.
I think it'd be fun.
You and your dry humor. Humor,
yeah,
man.
That's true.
Taking your shots at me. All right, that's a wrap on the show. Do stay connected to warchant.com. I don't know what our next position preview is going to be, but we'll probably have one up on the site later on. And, the promo code's WARCHANT30. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.